Good morning, Team Connells, and thank you, HighGraph, for this opportunity to speak to you all today. My name's Steve, and I work for Code. I'm going to spend hopefully about 3 minutes whizzing through the capabilities of Code and what we do in the property space and how perhaps we can help you guys as you step into this exciting new stage of your growth and development. So I'll get on with it without further ado. So we are a technology business with a design and UX specialism. There are about 50 people at Code, based in Manchester, but part of a wider global network of agencies under the WPP banner. So we have access to lots of clever data and AI and tech people, which is really good. We're also specifically a SaaS CMS specialist, and we'll spend a little bit of time talking about that. But we've got lots of experience in the property sector. Here's just some of the names that we've worked with over the years. And proud also to be one of only 7 businesses on the BBC's user design and user experience design roster, excuse me. So yeah, we get to do all the kind of like really cool things about what's the future of sport and various things. That's really cool. It keeps our axe sharp working for the BBC. But here's a couple of examples in the property sector. So Movera is a brand we originated on behalf of O'Neill Patient Solicitor, which is their conveyancing business. We originated the brand, looked at how they can bring 6 or 7 different firms within that actual banner, and how then that would have some sort of centralized guardrails around the brand and the governance around that, but equally having everybody sit within the family of brands that made sense then from an external perspective. So we can work at the very beginning. So what does the brand do and what does the brand say? Right the way through to sort of large scale system re-engineering and redeployment. So the Crown Estate, I think, have something like 50 websites in total that have just grown arms and legs over the years, as these things tend to do. And we rationalize that down to one central CMS where we have centralized components, centralized layouts, and we use something called a design token to make them look different at the front end, which I'll talk about very briefly. So here's just a quick flavour as to some of the brands we've covered for the Crown Estate. And again, if you look carefully on the images on the right, you'll see how they change. So if I go from the Crown Estate, the brochure site, into Regent Street for retail, you can see they look quite different. But actually, if you look closely, the components are very similar, the same. And all we're doing is overlaying a different brand experience over the top. So that gives the brand owners flexibility locally, but actually the business centrally has control over who can do what and how they can do it. But from an external perspective, from a customer's point of view, you'd never realize that these things were driven from the same CMS. That's architecturally how that works. And so we have the composable element in the middle, that sort of sandwich there, is where we actually do the magic around. We pull the content from the CMS at the bottom right there. We then orchestrate that with other things within the business tool set, so CRM or CDPs or whatever those things might be. And then we can present those using the design tokens in the front end as and when we want to and as and how we like to. Same story also for Bruntwood, a £2 billion business up in Manchester. Spent, again, a lot of property and space in Manchester and lots of mixed use as well. Very similar architecture. The principles are always very similar or the same, really, in terms of how you go about making these modernized technical architectures. And so, again, a very similar view there for Bruntwood as to how they go about deploying different sites. The variety is quite extreme there. We've got Manchester Science Park there, which is a different audience altogether, to Affleck's Palace, which is like a collection of independent retailers within an old warehouse. So a fascinating business, Bruntwood, in lots of ways. And again, you can see here how we've got the same components, but actually styled them up differently, and you can see how they can look radically different, and you'd never know they're from the same engine. And this approach actually is, it makes our clients money effectively. And these are just some of the numbers that we've achieved over the recent years. But I guess that it only really happens if you have a forensic understanding of the business and the performance and the customer experience and how they go about doing their thing. So this is Hillary's, actually a customer experience map for Hillary's. What we tend to do is we sort of zoom into each of these little vertical slices of how somebody engages with the business. And then we get really smart about knowing from a data point of view, how do people interact with that particular thing, such that we can craft then, or really sort of get a list of all the high areas of commercial opportunity within the organization. So when it comes to replacing software, we then think, okay, where can we replace the customer experience as well as replace the software and make more commercial gains as we do that? So that's the smart way of going about a technology replacement program like you're going through. And fully on board with this 3-month POC, that's exactly the sort of advice we would give you. And again, if we were to be part of the conversation, then we'd look at what does the customer experience vision look like? How can we measurably move the business forward from a customer experience point of view? How do we think about the value in the replacement strategy, and what can we do first, second, third, so we can get that priority right, such that when we do replace something, then actually we can see a market change event happen from a commercial point of view. And then what is the integration and the wider tech strategy? Again, we can advise around some of that as well. So we can sort of offer you a full service in that respect. And yeah, you've got lots of brands that can fall within this kind of pattern, so it feels like a really good fit for you as to where you're heading. So yeah, I can see why you're having these conversations with HighGraph. And that was it. So hopefully that was about 5 minutes, nearly 6. So thank you for bearing with me. I hope that's been useful, and yeah, we'll speak to you again soon, I hope. Thanks again.